Because if those images are erased off YouTube every time they're put up, no conversation ever does happen, right? So we felt like our job was to just get it on the record.
Jeff, hi Meghan.
Hi.
Hi, Jana.
Hi. Thank you so much for your time. A pleasure to talk to you both and to talk about Mickey, right? And who doesn't love to talk about Mickey? I love it. So, yes. So I'm going to start with you, Jeff. What was about Mickey that made you to do this amazing documentary?
It happened yesterday. I'm sure at some point it'll happen today. I walk out of my house and I just can't not see him, it's sort of, we all share Mickey. He's something that it's like shorthand for smiling at each other, and underneath that is all this history, and then it just was something that I always was curious about, so when the idea came up, it was like, yeah, of course, I would love to explore that.
Yeah, Meghan, from your point of view as a producer, what was like your biggest challenge? Like, was to find the perfect like director or the perfect archival like materials? What was like? Can you talk a little bit about it?
It's 100 years of history. So I think from our storytelling perspective, how to sort of crunch that all into 90 minutes is a challenge to begin with. We also filmed a lot of this production-wise during the pandemic, so it's logistical challenges. Luckily, we worked with wonderful interview subjects and Mickey fans who were willing to do this no matter the conditions. But yeah, Mickey, for me, in the same way for Jeff, he represents so many things to so many different people. So it's like how to democratically fit all of that into an hour-and-a-half movie is a challenge. And we had a lot of storyboards and a lot of outlines and a lot of treatments and sort of whittled it down over time.
Yes. And Jeff, what came first? The short, Mickey in a Minute, or the documentary, or everything happened together?
A little bit together. It was one of those things where Meghan and myself and Eric Goldberg were sitting around and we were like, it'd be a shame if we didn't have some Mickey animation in, I think it was Eric, in the Mickey movie. And so they started kind of spitballing, and we observed we're not as good of spitballers as they are in the world of animation, but it was fun to be there. And, it just kind of evolved from that. So it was really nice. I would have been happy telling the history of Mickey, but to have something like the short that we could watch and we could film and let the audience watch was really special, because it really reminded you throughout the film, I think, what it must have been like when they were doing these shorts in the 30s and the 40s and things like that. Here they are doing it in the exact same way that they used to do it, hand-drawn animation. So that was a real wonderful thing. I think early on in the process, when Meghan and I were stumbling around Disney Animation Building, they're like, you should go talk to Eric Goldberg. And once you talk to Eric, it's like you feel like Mickey's sort of at the tip of his pencil, and he's busy drawing and showing you things. And, it's like everything he's throwing away, you're like, can I pull that out of the trash and hang it on my wall? So he's just one of those people where it's just kind of comes out of him naturally. He's just a really joyous, artistic man. So that was the process of the short, and being able to see the short was definitely one of the highlights for me.
Yes. And then you can see he's just not just in the top of his pen, he's also in his shirts. And I asked him how many shirts he has. I don't know. I lost count. I was like, okay.
Oh, you talked to Eric?
Yes, I did.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I asked him how many because I see the closet on the documentary. I was like,
and the funny part is like, okay, so in the movie you see his Mickey shirts and he's going through. Yeah. But if you were to pan the camera over, he's not just a Mickey fan. There's other Disney characters. There's other Warner Brothers characters. His knowledge and love of animation in all its forms is pretty inspiring. So I only got to talk to him about the Mickey side of things, but occasionally he would dip into other stuff that I just was, it's a very deep well for him. So
yeah, he also like touches like very like some taboo moments that Mickey has it. I think that's the beauty of the documentary as well. It's not just like the happy part of Mickey. What was difficult for you? There was a moment that you thought with yourself, like, should I not include those, like the blackface or the World War II or something like that you thought about it?
Well, I mean, it was essential for us to talk about it. I think it was always a function of how we talk about it. I always found it interesting with Mickey, be it copyright or blackface or stuff like that, is like, here's this thing we all share, and yet there's aspects of it that we don't talk about. So it was essential to us, if we were going to make this film, that we were going to be able to cover that, and then really it became process of trying to figure out how to do it. We always felt like it was important to cover, but it's no 90-minute Mickey documentary is going to adequately cover those issues, but we can at least push Disney in the direction of being honest about it and talking about it so that an actual conversation can happen. Because if those images are erased off YouTube every time they're put up, no conversation ever does happen, right? So we felt like our job was to just get it on the record, and I will give Disney credit for the fact that they were okay with that,
Amazing. And for you, Meghan, is there anything that surprised you the most, like in this process, that something that you didn't know or something that oh my God, I didn't know that from before?
Yeah, the thing when we were doing sort of like research for this was talking with Sarah Nielsen, the historian in the World War II segment, about how prevalent Mickey was in the Holocaust. I think that, we sort of think as history as being very linear and events not coexisting or happening at the same time. But like, of course, Mickey Mouse was popular by the 40s. Of course, he would have been in Europe when all of this darkness was descending upon it. And so it was really just emotional and enlightening to see how widespread Mickey was in these remnants that we have from the darkest of humanity.
And that's for both of you. Do you guys have like a era that you guys like the most, like your favorite Mickey?
I mean, yeah, for me, I really fell in love with that kind of Little Whirlwind era, pre-World War II Mickey, just because there's a real joy there and a real kind of balletic kind of sense to Mickey that's just wild and unexpected. It's also, as growing up in the 80s, I had no idea about that area. I knew he was a cartoon character, obviously, but I didn't know all the details of that period. So, to me, that's the one that will stick with me, is that kind of 1940s, early 1940s, I guess late 30s Mickey Mouse on an artistic level.
And for you, Meghan?
Pretty much the same as Jeff, doing this project and speaking with the animators about the influence that Fred Moore had on the Mickey character really gave us a better understanding and fondness for that, those 40s films, Little Whirlwind, Mickey's Birthday Party, things that I had never really put that much thought into before. And then once Eric and some of the other animators explained, the fluidity of the movement and all of these crucial steps of animation, it sort of came to life for us a little bit more.
Yeah, I think what was cool about that period too is it wasn't just Mickey was free on an animation level. I think what Eric's really pointing out there is that animation was really free. It was really a joyous, pen stroke that was going on there inside that character. So, and that's right around Fantasia, where it just seems like animation wise, anything is possible too. So that was neat to dig into some of that.
Yeah. And Jeff, are you already thinking about another documentary, another character? That's something that you can tease us?
I'll leave it to others to do the other ones. It was really fun doing Mickey, but I've got a strange thing where it's like I've always wanted to do a Disney film, and then once I do a Disney film, it's like I want to do something else. I always wanted to do a theater film. I ended up doing that in Italy, and something else. I always wanted to do an outsider artist film. I was able to do that, and then something else. So it's like I'm very kind of Catholic in my taste. Like, I look back and I'm really glad that I got to do the Mickey film. But it's funny how you've had your meal, you don't really want another meal. You want to like go off and do something else. So I'm doing something else next, but I certainly enjoyed doing it, and I can't wait to show it to my daughter. And she and I watched Disney Plus together a lot, so that'll be fun to do.
That's fun. And for you, Meghan, do you have anything that you can talk about?
Nothing to share publicly, but yeah, I like living in the pop cultural sphere. These figures and sort of icons that we all encounter. There's something there to explore. There's something to get underneath of, and that space is really enjoyable to me. I don't think I'll be doing the Goofy movie anytime soon, but it was really fun to collaborate with Jeff and Morgan and Chris and Disney on this project. There's not a lot of joy to be had. Nowadays we live in such a crazy time, but Mickey still finds a way to bring joy to us.
Oh yeah, he always does. And in this process, like maybe it's very more personal question, but what did you learn about yourself, Jeff?
Like I said, I'm a parent, so I think as any parent hopefully has a chance to feel. I think one of the big things about it is that you're able to kind of go back to your own childhood and sort of find things. It's like kind of like what Carmenita says that opens the film. It's like that joy that you lose and trying to find that joy back. So one of the things I did early on was when I was just starting, I think it was before I started, bring my daughter to Disneyland and kind of seeing her viewpoint on it. It's hard not to be jaded after a while. So it's like trying to find that joy, at all costs, at all times is maybe what I learned, if that makes sense.
Yes. And for you, Meghan?
Yeah, I think it's looking at things from, many different angles and trying to find both the good and the bad, and being sort of open to exploration, open to understanding. Jeff and I were educated by so many people in making this film, the history of Mickey, the good and the bad. We had really amazing collaborators and interview subjects who really walked us through some unique points of the past that we would not have necessarily known about ourselves. So it's always good to have a solid team of people. And that classic saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Good point.
That's good. It's a pleasure to talk to you both. I want to thank you so much for your time and a lot of success always. And I cannot wait for the projects that you guys are going to have together or not, but for the next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Jana.
Bye. If you like this video, don't forget to comment, to like, and subscribe to our channel right here.